of 49 million. But we were unable to sell off the motor vehicles in the previous year because of the process. And then the vehicles were sold in the year ending June 2023.
Okay. Any comment, member, on that?
Chair, can you refer to their responses and you look at the response for that particular query we are handling? When you look at the response and what they are telling us now, are these your responses? You read for us your response for the first query. The very query we are handling.
1.0, your submission. You read your submission.
We said that the status we fully implemented
Which status?
on revenue performance. Is it the 1.0, Chair?
Yes, that's where we are, performance.
1.1,
Approved.
utilization of warrants, we also fully implemented. Our response, where we said management will keep up the good practice. Yes, Chair. This was due to the Auditor General's report that noted that we had good performance with regard to revenue performance. So we only gave that comment to say going forward, we should always keep up this.
So, members, let's go to performance of GOE warrants. You received 75 billion, and you are unable to utilize it. How much did you utilize?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, when you go to page 3, we actually utilized utilization. We had 70.66 billion out of the 75.7 billion. And this was majorly due to some activities that we could not undertake at that time, which included the PDM activities, implementation of manpower survey, various staff training programs, procurement of various ICT that were delayed, and acquisition of furniture and fittings that were delayed, the market survey reports that were not produced, and that is what contributed to that underutilization.
Honorable members, let us go to a statement of appropriation. You got a supplemental data adjustment of 3.7. And you got all the money. You got the supplementary of 3.7. And you failed to even to utilize the supplementary. And then in fact, your plan was initial budget was 72, adjustment was 3, revised budget comes to 75, utilized 70, with a variance of 5.1. Could you explain to us why even you failed to utilize the supplementary?
Thank you, Chair. The manpower survey, it was out of the planning period. So we pushed it to the next financial year, and actually currently we are undertaking the manpower survey. That was the challenge. By the time the money came in, we couldn't implement according to the schedule of the survey.
You got the money very late?
Yes, Chair.
You have evidence to that when you received the money?
Chair, this can be provided if I'm given the opportunity. We have on record.
You have the bank balance, the certificate of bank balance?
Yes, we have, Chair.
You have it now?
Chair, in this report, it would not be, it is not provided, but it can be
Please, we
submitted.
need the certificate of bank balances to confirm that. Members?
Okay, Chair.
Chair, the non-utilized amount is 5 billion. And to that, the Auditor General has attached a schedule of activities that were not implemented. And the schedule of the Auditor General indicates 6 billion, over and above what they did not utilize. Number two, Chair, even when the query of wage utilization is above, on the list of the non-implemented activities, which are on page 24 and 25, the activities that the Auditor General listed do not include wage. And yet, when you look at utilization of wage, even when the query is up front, there is non-utilization of wage of 2 billion. So when you add 2 billion to the 6, you get 8, yet what you didn't utilize was 5. That notwithstanding, you've attributed the non-utilization partly, the 3.7, which was supplementary, to one item, which was implementation of manpower survey. Now, on the Auditor General's list, the manpower survey is not even among the items for which you did not perform. You can refer to the appendix too, which you should have shared. It's on page 24. My understanding is that since you were given 100% of the budget, the money that was not utilized was meant for activities that you did not implement. Now, the first contradiction is that the activities that were not implemented total up to 6 billion. Yet the money you did not utilize was 5 billion. You also must note that the activities where you implemented them partially, meaning that you did not exhaust those activities. So, Chair, I think the way forward is that they need to unpack. They need to get the 5 billion that was not utilized and attach it to activities that were not implemented. You must cost them to that extent. Because the reason you give for non-absorption of a supplementary, by the time you requisition for a supplementary, because a supplementary is an activity that is unforeseen. It's an emergency by nature. So you commit Parliament to adjust the Appropriation Act by providing a supplementary. You cannot fail to absorb a supplementary. So if it came late, that's another matter that we shall verify. So, Chair, the contradiction of these figures can't make me arrive at a genuine decision. They must reconcile the unspent.
Chair, I would like to submit that when you look at what we did not utilize, the 5 billion vis-a-vis the 6 billion, I think that is a figure that was put by the compilers of the report, because now harmony should have been built in here to make sure that we have that. So indeed, this should be harmonized, but this is not our report, Chair, because we are showing exactly what we used.
Maybe, Chair, just an example for them. You fail to utilize 7 from 5. You remain with 1.3. Now, when you go to wage alone, the budget was 37, you utilized 35. There's a balance of 2 billion. So already there is a problem. I would have attributed the 2 billion to wage, but now you take supplementary 3.7, you have a balance of 1.3, but the wage now is above. So the two cannot. You need to request time from the chair and the committee to reconcile.
Yes, Madam.
That came through. The supplementary came in June. We were able to do some bit of activity, but not fully utilize the funds. As for providing the details of the 5 billion, Chair, if you give us some time, we'll be able to provide the detail of the 5 billion.
Okay. Please, we need the details for that. Provide them by not later than tomorrow. Members, we go to 1.2, utilization of warrants. And I think that's what we have been talking about. Michael? Let's go to, that's the same, 1.3, implementation of outputs. And members, you have something to say about the 1.3? Your response, Madam. 1.3 concluded due to non-release of funds for the activity. The funds were repurposed for this activity from the Bureau sources. Yes, Madam. About PDM.
PDM, underutilization of the PDM funds. This was fully implemented, and we were having two institutions implementing PDM, and the Bureau had its role, as well as the Ministry of ICT. And at that time, there was some kind of budgeting from our side, and they had to provide a work plan for the activities that we had to release funds from our side. So there was a delay on their side, of which we wrote to the PSST to make sure that they utilize the funds. And there was a letter to that effect, because we would not just spend the money without a proper work plan from the Ministry of ICT. So that caused a delay, but going forward, it was implemented. And in addition to that, we requested that each agency budgets for their funds, which they did through that letter. And so we do not have that challenge going forward. This was implemented, Chair.
Members? That is almost the same. Yes, Itungo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chair, sorry to take over the census mapping exercise. If you say you got 100% release, and now you are saying that this exercise was not concluded due to non-release, what do you mean?
Response, Madam.
Thank you, Chair. It's an exercise that took over 2 financial years. So in the process, at one time we had the late release of funds, but at the same time we wrote to PSST to repurpose, to make sure that we actually penned some activities to complete the mapping, because we did not want to delay the census. So that is why we are having that 100%. We had to make sure that we repurpose, implement, and then wait for the other funds to complete the other activities, Chair. And it was done successfully.
What is the repurpose?
Repurposing, we looked at activities that we had that had some funds, where we could get that money spent without doing mischarge. And so we wrote and asked for that money to make sure that we delay the implementation of the other activities, because this was critical, that we had already planned to undertake the census, and it was the one to inform the census.
Chair, I think we may need the correspondences about this matter. You are correspondent of the PSST.
Yes, Chair.
Please provide with the evidence of correspondences tomorrow. for delivery of services from implemented activities, whereby the Auditor General says, I undertook procedures to confirm if activities implemented by the Bureau were implemented in a timely manner, way of acceptable quality, quantity, cost, and functionality. I sampled 30 activities with a total expenditure of 17.939 billion. That they refer to Appendix 3. I think members, you have to go to Appendix 3 and you look at it. Delayed completion of planned activities negatively impacts on service delivery. The accounting officer provided line by line detailed reason for deviation in scheduling as summarized in the Appendix 3. Can we look at Appendix 3? That is starting from page 25. Can you respond, Madam?
Thank you, Chair. Chair, going forward, actually, we've now started, most of these were procurements. And going forward, they needed us to submit, to follow the procedure in adequate time. And also because there were delays in funds, we couldn't procure some of them. But Chair, going forward, already this was retired. We've already procured most of them, like furniture, the vehicles, the ICT items. Chair, all these have been procured.
I think, Mr. Chairman, even when you look at their response, they are conceding.
Do you have evidence? Items were procured, evidence. They can see furniture procured, expenditure of 266 million. Yes?
Yes, this was procured, Chair.
Because from the communities we come from, I see still there are some raising voices that UBOS has never cleared paying the allowances.
Honorable Sasaga, I think...
I'm coming now to this. Now, from here, at the stage where it looks like the payments or the weighted items were up to date. There was even a request for repurposing to divert some of those funds and clear some of the items which maybe were not budgeted or they were budgeted, but now, that's why I had the hand, but you didn't see. I wanted to ask about when they wrote for repurposing to divert some of that money, was the authority granted? And much as Ember talked about correspondences to be given, they could also show us the authority of granting them to repurpose and change some of the monies which had been budgeted for.
Yes, response?
Thank you, Chair. I have cases of unpaid, and Chair, if I can talk to that, it is us government. And I think you'll appreciate with us that this time around we've used eCash. eCash has limits. When you are giving these funds, you have to do it in batches. That means you could not release at the same time at a go. So we had to give batches. It was a lot of money. And yes, for those that maybe we've not paid as of now, it is maybe because they have mismatches in their numbers, in their names. But as of last week, we were given, at least by finance, most of them were picked because we had also to rely on the cash budget. So I appreciate they are still there, but those are maybe mismatches in their numbers, and we are handling case by case. But they are very few. We should appreciate. Then the other one about repurposing. Chair, I did mention here that the repurposing was done in the previous year. not in this current year. And enumeration has been done in this current year. So repurposing was majorly for that critical activity of mapping. We never repurposed to do the other regular activities. So, Chair, I
Yes,
submit.
Honorable Sasaga, I think that matter will appear in the coming financial report of the Auditor General. As of now, we are handling 2022-2023. Yes?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. But still for the
Management accepted the recommendation as it has since strengthened the process from planning, implementation, monitoring, and reporting of activities. Management meets weekly to review activity implementation. Chair, to me, the response is redundant because we need to know the action plan. What have you implemented? This is what you should give us to unpack for us. What have you done right from the time the audit was conducted to date, so that we know exactly how you are moving. Meeting weekly to review activity plan is not enough, but we need to know what are you reviewing, what have you done in the last 1 year. That's what I wanted to submit here. Thank you so much.
Please respond.
Okay. Needed to have mechanisms in place that track the implementation on weekly. That's the reason we put it here, to show that we are working. But Chair, as you pictorial evidence from the inspection, and it is already responded to for most of it. Partially, it was implemented. It's only the other first two that are actually, I said now they are procured, they can be provided. But the others, actually, we can even find from the web. We have this information, Chair.
Honorable Nangoli, check Appendix 3. You can find that. Honorable Kasolo, I saw your hand. When you look at these financial years, during the audit, I undertook a physical head count of statistics. We existed the appointments in two services. They say the payroll include can study that table. I established 0.219 billion, out of which 87.853 billion was. You were given 37 billion and you utilized 35. Can you explain to that?
So we had a plan, an implementation plan to recruit and fill the positions. And so what we did, we couldn't fill at a go. But Chair, there have been progress. At the time of the audit, we had filled 91%. As we speak, we have only 19 positions that are left to be filled. And this, Chair, going forward, we are saying that we are implementing in this financial year.
Honorable members? Yes, Michael.
Look at the analysis of that table. You will realize that the budget has been growing. And so is the expenditure. It would account for two things. It would account for either enhancement of salary or recruitment. But at the same time, as there's growth in the budget and growth in payments, there is also growth in there is decline in utilization, in absorption. In other words, for wage, you commit to request for funds for wage, they are provided, you under-absorb. What could be the problem?
That we do does not only encompass permanent staff. The Bureau has a number of projects, and even those which were delayed were actually part of the projects that we had to implement. And what does it mean? It also affects the wage. So it is not only permanent, but in addition, we also had to do recruitment for the permanent structure. That is what delayed. And at that time, when we were given that wage, we had to come up with an implementation plan, the recruitment plan, which we provided, and it was stipulating for the years what we have to recruit. So we followed that, and we are requesting that we complete this year to make sure that we are fully to capacity.
Component under item 1. It is, what was warranted was 28,397 billion.
That's the current.
Here is 35,162. Then 2, when you look at the wage analysis by the Auditor General, in 2021-2022, it was 19.5. It skyrocketed from moving from 19.520 to 35 by almost 100%. So the accounting officer, could you give us some justification? What led to this abnormal increase from 19 in the previous year to 35.162?
Please respond.
Activities that we've had to implement before undertaking census was mapping. And we had to bring a lot of staff on board. We had a number of other projects, and that means the wage had to go up to make sure we implement. And this has not been a 1 year. It has been over the years until the completion of census. And Chair, that is one of those contributions to that increase in the wage. It is the projects, sir.
Okay. Members, I think we have to a total of 3,000. I think you can read that, and 3,377, that's 99%. We are fully verified. 103, that's 1%, did not show up. I summarized in the table below. Can you justify for these 3 who did not appear?
The payroll.
Who are they?
They had exited the bureau for the reason of termination of their contracts, and 1 transferred services to KCCA. 2 were terminated, and 1 had transferred to KCCA. So he had to be validated in 1 place.
Who are they? Are their names?
This was Mr. John Mayende and Mr. Henry Dixoka. Then the one who is in KCCA is Mr. Waibi Charles.
And a total of 11 individuals whose names were not on the payroll appeared for validation exercise with all prerequisite documents. These individuals were included on the validated payroll upon confirmation by the accounting officer regarding their status, as well as complete verification of the partially verified employees. Please respond to that.
Thank you, Chair. By that time, of course, there were new recruits, and we had to go through all the procedure to make sure that they are updated before they could appear.
Yes.
An error. When you're reading, there's a total of 3,377. Probably that was an error by Auditor General. For our record, it is 337. So the last 7 is not there.
Okay.
And again, when you go to the table for our record, the total does not come to 440. It comes to 340. And when you add the 11, it comes to 351 for purposes of record.
Yes.
It is not in the response because if you look at the errors, they were largely from Auditor General. We tended to concentrate on the numbers as provided.
And as you can see, this is just a matter of a transposition of whoever was writing this report from the side of the Auditor General. That's why I wanted to make this clarification for record.
Even the exit meeting,
Saying we did, and we did point it out. Probably Auditor General did not make the final amendments in the report.
You see, the challenge is response different from what you have submitted to the committee, unless you want to update your responses for further submission.
And we could make, and that's why I thought I would make this submission here so that this one is taken on record, but for future audits at the exit meeting, we should be able to have all these clarifications made and in our response. But again, Chair, you see when we make responses, they go to Auditor General who finalizes the report. We do not have an opportunity again to come and look at the report before it is signed off. That's why we're making these comments here.
validation of short-term or temporary staff. And out of 497 employees, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, February 2023 salary payroll, a total of 401, that's 81%. We are fully verified and partially verified, 196, that's 19%, did not show up as summarized in the table below. Members, you can look at that table. And can you please respond to that? Almost 19% did not show up.
Contracts are not normally the same. So as you validate today, tomorrow you'll have a different number depending on the running projects. And so that is what happened. Some of these people had dropped off. And this we confirmed because we've presented evidence to this effect, Chair.
Provide us with evidence, the list of these people, so that amendment procedures. This was attributed to, among others, errors at the time of data capture by NIRA. Please respond to this.
Looking at what was filled on the form, as at a point of entry, there is a form that we fill as HR, and then they also required these employees to produce their national IDs, of which a number of, some staff, you would find that what they presented, because they go there to report, you don't accompany them. So it was a wake-up call, because we actually did now the validation and make sure that we align. So the issue was to choose which is which, but these are two different entities. So in their IDs, they were talking about a different age. And then on the form that they presented at the point of entry, some time back, even before they got the IDs. So Chair, we accepted this, and going forward, we took an update of the staff to make sure that we manage the human resource appropriately.
That happened that year of...
We've updated the records according to the advice.
At 100%?
Yes, Chair. When you come in, we validate. We ask also for the national ID now.
Give us the evidence to that effect. Provide all the updated list to the committee so that we can verify. We need evidence to that.
It's a requirement to put a statement of staff on your financial statements. So when it's not there, you cannot know how many staff you have. So you need to update that. Now, Chair, on utilization of wage budget, Chair, we had partially dealt with it under 2.0.
Really?
We had partially dealt with it under 2.0. It is a transplant of that analysis for the same table. It's about underutilization of the wage budget. The reason as to why they did not consume 2.2 billion. I think Chair, if I heard the accounting officer had insinuated that they had not completed the recruitment.
Okay, you have a comment to that?
The supplement is supporting me. We had not completed, but going forward, I prayed that it's our prayer that we complete this financial year so that going forward we have a full structure. Chair, I appreciate.
2.5. Explain, Madam. It was noted that 6 employees who were on the submitted staff list of UBOS were also employed at the same time under employment of UBOS.
Yes, Chair, we noted this, and still it was a wake-up call, and most of these staff most of them were on projects. Someone will come, work on a project. Because of the nature of the short-term employment, you are working for 6 months. Of course, the due diligence has been majorly taken for the permanent staff, where we've done all the verifications. We had only 1 permanent staff amongst them, of which we did not know that actually for us, on record on his file, there was nothing to show that he was employed elsewhere. And so we undertook, and since that time, when the verification was done, all the staff were deleted from the payroll.
Because I can see the accounting officer stated that the Bureau was not aware of the double engagement of staff.
Yes, yes, Chair. But we went ahead and deleted them from the payroll of UBOS.
Who are these people?
Chair, I don't have, I don't know what
They are
I
6.
can provide, yes, I can provide their names.
What are their names?
I can provide, Chair, the names.
You can't recall?
I can recall. There is Sengendo Michael, who was in Mitiana as well as the Bureau, and there was nothing on file to show that he was employed there. We have a temporary staff who was in Gulu, who was a labor officer, and that is, Chair, I can't get off the name, but we deleted them going forward. Because for us, he was temporary, and he was a labor officer in Iguru. But for us, he was temporary, came on temporary basis.
Bosasaga?
Yeah, thank you. The staff has been drawing 2 salaries. Initially, you couldn't know, but later you come to know. Now, does such staff work for free? Are there measures to recover some of those monies? Or what do you say about it?
Please respond.
Thank you, Chair. Of course, he couldn't work free. Under my jurisdiction, we took the first option to make sure that he's not drawing another salary from the Bureau. Secondly, was subjected to the disciplinary committee to handle because they are procedures. And also, we know that by the time a verification was done, we are also waiting for the team that did the verification after finding out, because for us, we confirmed and signed off the staff that were permanent there. So I think it is a government initiative now, but we did the preliminary that we could do in the institution.
Do you recover the money or you just left it?
Chair, we've not taken that to recover money, but immediately was deleted from the payroll. Because recovering money, of course, it would be going to the consolidated fund. And I believe the team that did the verification for the central government, I know there is a process that has to be undertaken to be followed for that. And the Chair, that is what we are waiting for. I submit, Chair.
And you only did one thing, to delete. But aware, Chair, that this money had been for the Bureau, which this officer was drawing. Now, the officer did not do much because this guy, we had to go an extra mile and make sure this money is recovered. And there is no plan, there is nothing to show. But she's saying she only deleted the officer. And that's the reason why this kind of voice is recurrent. It's everywhere. Now, I want to know whether they were aware or it was not until when the audit was carried out. Because this is a deliberate move which is happening in the ministries and departments.
Yes.
Just supplementary kniving with even some of the staffs. Much aware that I've got job X and I've been in the job Y. They maintain the person on the payroll knowingly, which they pretend to be unknowing at this time, and in the background, they share the proceeds very well. And this is a vice which is cutting and eating up, not only the ministries, but even the local governments. That's why I want them to go to the record very clear. They say they only discovered when the audits were done. Could that be true?
Please respond.
Thank you, Chair. I could say that the one for Mitiana actually was deleted on both payroll.
Was there for how long?
Because we took an initiative and wrote, when we got to know, we wrote to the accounting officer. Actually, I wrote requesting for that, to verify whether actually this was true. And the letter states, if I can say, that this existed to be a staff as on when we respond back to you.
Were these people registered on IPPS?
On IFMIS?
Yeah, yes, the system.
If it is not on the same payroll, Chair, I can't know, but at least on my payroll, the staff was there. But the other side, I can't really exactly tell. And this is a driver, so you could not really know. Then the others, Chair, these are temporary who are earning 600,000. So sometimes, like I explained, the verification exercise for you to undertake verification for them for a 6 months project, it would even be costly than what we are talking about. So, Chair, yes, going forward, we've instituted, we do this. Now the verification is being done.
Provide with us the list of those people.